Welcome to part 4 of Simon's quest. Today we're gonna do the final 2 castles before we take on Dracula. I just cut out the nighttime portion from the end of the previous part because those were getting boring, and also these lovely people have something interesting to say, like this lady. Don't look into the Death Star or you will die. Okay. I didn't know looking into the Death Star can cause cardiac arrest, but I'll take your word for it. Trust me, there's no Death Star in this game, that's a lie. But can you imagine Darth Vader and Dracula teaming up to take on Simon Belmont? That would be interesting, to say the very least. But that's not the point of this town. The real point of this town is to buy the it's not the final whip upgrade, but it's the final whip upgrade you can actually buy with your hearts, the Morning Star. You need the Morning Star in order to achieve the final whip upgrade, which is the Fire Whip. And that is a one badass whip, I'll tell you that. The merchant who sells you the whip is going to be in this building. Look for a door that's right next to a peeling sign. I have now achieved the Morning Star. Enemies will most likely go down in one hit. And yes, you can skip the Flame Whip in this game, but why would you want to skip the Flame Whip? It's the most powerful weapon in the game. I guess you can say it's a challenge run, but come on, the Fire Whip is awesome, just use the damn thing. With that said, just travel to the left of this town. There are 2 more mansions left to beat, but first, let's get that whip. The whip will be in an underground cavern area, and there will be a merchant there that will give you the whip if you have the Morning Star. Continue going to the west. West side? Anyway. There will be another platforming section that's not as difficult as before. It's just 3 little platforms. It's, just jump over them. It's not that big a deal. Always remember that Simon's jumps are fixed in these games. If he's in the air, he's going to continue to barrel in that direction until he lands. Now, for this dead end right here, you have to equip the red crystal and duck for a couple of seconds. Then a tornado will come and whisk you away. The fuck just happened? And that's where most people gave up on the game because nobody knew to crouch at the cliff for 5 seconds. If you didn't have a guide back then, you were pretty much no luck unless you had a friend that knows the game. And even he probably wouldn't know how to play this game. Use the red crystal for this lake right here, still don't know how that works, and jump down. Here's the cavern area I was talking about earlier. You have to get to the merchant by jumping on these platforms, which slows the game down to shit. I am not kidding. At least it doesn't eat your inputs though. Like, look at this. It's a freaking mess. I can't rag on this game too much, except actually yes I can. Castlevania 1 ran smoother than this. I'll give you your Morning Star power to burn away evil. And that's your Flame Whip power up right there. Now you can one-shot most enemies in the game, except if you're in mansions. Now, going back to the slowdown, I don't think Castlevania 1 slowed down at all. It does freeze on the occasion if you're in Death's Hallway, but it never really slowed to a crawl like this game did. I think the slowdown has more to do with this game being way too ambitious for its own good. I mean, it's not a bad game, but some people may think otherwise. Alright, so let's go back to that mansion we just passed up. This mansion, I completely forgot the name of this mansion already, shit. I mean, this place is not too hard, but there is a tricky part you have to get over before you can actually get to the merchant. He's gonna be in the black void in between the walls for some reason, so you have to jump through an invisible wall to get him. I don't know how that works, but it's Castlevania 2. What you want to do is go upstairs, go to the right, and jump through an invisible wall. That'll take you to the other screen where the merchant is. And there are also these random boulders that are in the air for some reason on the left side of the screen. I can show you them, but they're pretty useless. There's nothing over there. It's just these rocks. Like, okay. Why are they here? And also, why are they making the game flicker like hell? As you can tell, none of the enemies are posing a real threat to me because they're docile and I can just one-shot them with my Flame Whip. This is why I consider Castlevania 2 to be the easiest in the series, because none of the enemies do anything. And when they do something, they only take away 1 HP. This is especially jarring when you compare Castlevania 2 to Castlevania 1 and 3, and even 4, where the enemies in those games do boatloads of damage to you. 3 especially. So, I definitely feel that this game is way too easy in some spots. But then again, there's probably a ROM hack out there somewhere where the enemies do one-shot kill you, or at least do as much damage as they would in any other Castlevania game. I have to look that up, now I'm curious. Quick edit, I did do some research on Castlevania 2 ROM hacks, and the game doesn't seem any harder in those ROM hacks, in terms of enemy design at least, but there are certain cases where the NPCs in the village just straight up lie, like even more than the actual game itself, so the game is harder, just not in that way. So let's talk about the Japanese version of Castlevania 2, shall we? In Japan, the game was called Dracula 2 Noroi no Fuin, which translates roughly to the seal... What the hell is going on screen right now? I'm sorry I got distracted, but look at the slowdown, like there's nothing on screen. The Japanese title translates roughly to Dracula 2, The Seal of the Curse. And there are a lot of differences between the Japanese version and the North American version I'm playing right now. Since the Japanese version was on a disc system, you can actually save your progress. There are also load times in that version too. The title screen on Dracula 2 showed some blood, which I don't know if it was censored or they just wanted to go with a different style for Castlevania 2, but they changed the title screen. But the main difference between Dracula 2 and Castlevania 2 was definitely sound font. Dracula 2 being released on disc, it utilized all of the instruments it had, and therefore it sounded better, debatably. Whereas the Castlevania 2 in North America was very limited because it was on a cartridge. Look, I'm not gonna lie, but I'd take the North American version over the Japanese version of the soundtrack any day, because while the Japanese version of the soundtrack is good, it just feels way too peppy and something you hear from an ice cream truck. This version is dark, it's edgy, it fits the mood, and the Japanese version just sounds like kindergartner's first edgy game. But watch me do a 180 and say that the Japanese version of Castlevania 3's soundtrack is probably one of the best soundtracks ever, because, come here, I got something to tell you. It fits with the atmosphere of the game. Yeah, nice slowdown by the way. The enemies were programmed so that they're still active on screen from what I can tell. And if there's like a whole bunch of them in a certain area, it's gonna slow the game down to shit. And that's really bizarre. Look, I'm not gonna pretend that every game is flawless, but this game has it the worst. And Mega Man 2, and Mega Man 3, and sometimes Contra too. Like, if you get a lot of shit going on in Contra, that can slow down too. Now that I have Dracula's nail, we can move on to the next area. We got one more mansion to go before we take on the big head honcho from hell. I did do some grinding off screen because... yeah, just need more health, I guess. Or do I need health? Like, that enemy literally just took no life from me. Like I said before, I think the exploration is there. It's pretty good, but they should make the enemies hit harder. And they should also put in some more sub-weapons like the axe. The axe is jarringly missing in this game. The quickest way to get out of this castle is just to go straight to the left. You can jump through an invisible wall. What is with these invisible walls in this game? Continue to the left and go to the Cavern area where you got your fire whip. Or about to get your fire whip. I kind of sequence broke. I wonder if that merchant with the fire whip is still down there. What does he say when I have the fire whip already? Oh wow, that guy actually still is there. I'm pretty sure there's better places to be other than this shitty-ass cavern, but I don't judge. It reminds me of that merchant guy from Resident Evil 4. What are you buying? Another platforming section. This one's easier though, it's just, there's no tricky jumps here. I don't think I've talked about the Human Torch enemies, have I? Well, they're really simple to kill, they just take 2 hits, and they have this really easy fireball attack that you can just jump over to avoid. And they're the Human fucking Torch. They're pretty simple. The mansion's gonna be in the middle of the swamp. You're gonna need 2 Laurels in order to get there. Don't be a tough guy and not use the Laurels, you'll just die. Pretty simple to deal with when you have the tools to conquer it. Now you're wondering, if you can only carry 2 Laurels and you need 2 Laurels to get here, how will you get back? Well, you'll find out. And now for the mansion with the most unique, we'll call it unique color palette. It's blue and Frankenberry, or maybe it's Pepto-Bismol, I don't know. This mansion is the most difficult in the game because, well, of course it is. It's the last mansion before the final boss. You have to go up these certain amount of stairs in order to get to the merchant. The enemies are still a non-threat, and I don't believe there are too many pitfalls in this area. I may be mistaken on the pitfall part though. They did kind of compensate a little bit for this mansion by putting enemies on the top of stairs, a place where Simon cannot reliably attack. Simon just leveled up again. Leveling up in this game it works in a strange way. It's dictated by how many hearts you pick up. The more hearts you pick up, the more experience you get. And it's also based on value too, so picking up big hearts are gonna nab you more XP compared to picking up small hearts. And just like I said before, the hearts are currency, but you don't lose XP whenever you buy something, so that's good. I'm not sure of the thresholds you have to achieve in order to level up. I think the first 2 levels are 200 apiece, but everything beyond that is a mystery to me. Yeah, I kind of wandered around a bit because I didn't really know which way to go here. This mansion is not that complicated, I guess I was playing stupid, I don't know. Or maybe I was exploring the area out of boredom, perhaps. I kinda got bored at the tail end of playing this game. I'm guessing that's the reason. I don't think this is a bad Castlevania game at all, it just gets really, really repetitive and boring after a while. And trust me, there are games in the series that are way worse than this. Castlevania The Adventure on Game Boy I consider worse than this game because the way it controls and just how stiff the jumping is in that game is just beyond me. And you're in luck because you're gonna see The Adventure in a couple weeks and I'm probably gonna curse the game. I'm gonna curse the game a whole bunch of times. The 2 Nintendo 64 games were not really that great. Well, no, I have a soft spot for the first Nintendo 64 game, not really Legacy of Darkness, so I would play this game over Legacy of Darkness any day. I have not played any of the GBA or DS Castlevania games. I've heard they're great, but I just wouldn't know through personal opinion. So yeah, my knowledge of Castlevania really only extends to anything before 1999. Yes, I know, I'm an old fogey even though I'm 23. But there's nothing stopping me from actually playing the later entries and probably even enjoying them too. I don't know. Time shall tell. Even the music slows down. It's like this game was made with scotch tape and spit. Yeah, you can clearly tell that the game struggles. It struggles really hard. Oh, hey, that's not fair. I just landed on that enemy. It's not like that cheap enemy placement matters. I still have full health. Not anymore. God, why are the enemies so weak? I think that's the biggest problem with this game. I think that's why people hate this game. The enemies are just too damn weak. Alright, so the second boss in this game is called Vampira, and she's pretty easy. She'll just shoot out these fire projectiles that you can easily jump over, and she'll just loop around in a circle, which will give you the opportunity to hit her. But watch out for the RNG, because sometimes she'll just keep on shooting these projectiles indefinitely until you get tired and walk away from her. Like right here, where she's just spamming these fireballs and I just want to hit her in the face, and she's just toying with me. I know you want to hit me, but you can't. I'm just gonna spam these fireballs. I'm like, God damn it! That boss was poorly programmed, so I'm just gonna make a detour, get this orb, and fight her for reals this time. You now possess Dracula's ring. Wait, a ring? I didn't know that was a body part, that's an accessory. So I'm guessing that Dracula was married, which, I mean, he probably was because a la carte. But anywho, let's actually fight Vampira for real. Take note that she's this easy just like death. See what I mean with the RNG? Like, sometimes she'll just shoot out the projectiles, other times she'll just wander in a circle. Well, the AI is so stupid. You now possess the magic cross. Alright, so this vampire lady face is actually a character named Carmilla, and she's gonna be a reoccurring character in Castlevania games going forward. She's Count Dracula's top general, and she likes to bathe in blood. That's pretty much the extent to her character. If you don't have Laurels, you just pass the spike bed and talk to this guy right here. I beg of you to take these Laurels. Now you have 4 Laurels, which is plenty enough to finish the game. Now, in order to get to Castlevania and fight the final boss, you gotta go to the east. I'll show that in the next part. But yeah, those are the mansions, and I gotta say, it seems like these mansions are just here to pad out the game. If they made the level layout a bit more complicated and put some more more challenging enemies in here, this would have been definitely A+. But it doesn't do that. This game is very, very laxed. And I think this game came out a few months after Zelda 2, a game in which, if you don't know what you're doing, will indeed tear your balls off. So in other words, this game is a no, Zelda 2 is a yes. Play Zelda 2, you'll enjoy that one much more than Castlevania 2. But also play Castlevania 2 because it's still an experience. But I wouldn't say this game sucks, it's just really, really archaic and stupid. And that's going to be the end of part 4 for Simon's Quest. Tune in for the finale when we actually defeat Dracula. And remember, don't look at the Death Star or you will die. Did you die yet? Are you still there? Hello? Hello?